Hi, and welcome to Writing with Psychology. My name is Jennifer Carr, self-published author, marriage and family counselor, and former AP psychology teacher. And today we are talking culture and writing characters with different cultural dimensions. Creating characters that are realistic and relatable is one of the most important aspects of writing. It is through characters that readers can connect to a story and its themes. Writing characters from different cultures and different cultural dimensions can add depth and richness to a story, but it can also be a challenging task. As writers, we must be careful not to fall into the trap of writing stereotypes or bias when creating characters from diverse backgrounds. Culture is all around us, shaping the way we view the world, interact with others, and express ourselves. From our beliefs and values to our customs and traditions, culture plays a vital role in our lives. As writers, understanding the nuance of culture is essential to crafting authentic and meaningful stories that resonate with readers. Culture refers to the shared beliefs, values, customs, behaviors, and artifacts that characterize a group or society. It's the lens through which individuals view the world and make sense of their experiences. Culture encompasses a wide range of elements, including language, religion, social norms, art, music, food, and fashion. And culture is not static, it's constantly evolving and changing over time. As societies interact and exchange ideas, cultures blend and adapt, resulting in new and unique expressions of human creativity. Furthermore, it is an essential aspect of storytelling, especially in today's diverse and interconnected world. A writer who fails to understand the cultural context of their characters risks creating a story that feels flat, inauthentic, or even offensive to readers from that culture. For example, imagine a writer creating a story set in Japan without understanding the customs and social norms of Japanese culture. The resulting story could be riddled with inaccuracies or stereotypes, which could lead to a backlash from Japanese readers or even prevent the book from being published in Japan. On the other hand, a writer who takes the time to research and understand the culture they're writing about can create a story that's not only accurate, but also resonates with readers on a deeper level. By incorporating cultural nuances and traditions into their work, writers can bring their stories to life and make them more relatable to readers from different cultures. Just as understanding culture is crucial to writing better stories and characters, it's important to note that each culture has its own unique set of cultural dimensions that writers must consider when crafting their stories. Let's explore some of these dimensions and how they can impact the stories we tell. One of the most well known models for understanding cultural dimensions was developed by social psychologist Geert Hofstede. Hofstede identified 6 cultural dimensions that he believed could help explain differences in cultural values and behaviors across nations. We're going to briefly touch on each one. First up is individualism versus collectivism. Individualism and collectivism are 2 different cultural perspectives on how individuals relate to society and their place within it. Individualism refers to the importance of the individual over the group. In individualistic cultures, people value independence and autonomy. Collectivism, on the other hand, emphasizes the importance of the group over the individual. In collectivistic cultures, people value harmony and interdependence. Here are some examples. As it relates to decision making, in an individualistic culture, people tend to prioritize personal goals and decisions. They may make choices based on their own preferences, desires, and needs without consulting others. In a collectivistic culture, people are more likely to make decisions in consultation with their family, community, or other group members, prioritizing the group's interests over their own. As it refers to relationships, in an individualistic culture, people tend to value personal independence and self sufficiency. They may prioritize their own needs and goals over those of their family or community. In a collectivistic culture, people place a greater emphasis on social relationships and interdependence. They may prioritize the needs of the group over their own desires or preferences. And as it relates to communication, an individualistic culture tends to be direct and assertive in their communication style. They may express their opinions and feelings openly, even if it contradicts others' perspectives. In a collectivistic culture, people tend to be more indirect and harmonious in their communication style. They may avoid expressing opinions altogether in order to avoid conflict and preserve group harmony. Power distance is another dimension. It refers to the degree to which people in a culture accept and expect unequal distribution of power. High power distance cultures accept and expect a hierarchical society, while low power distance cultures value equality and fairness. Uncertainty avoidance. This refers to the degree to which people in a culture are comfortable with ambiguity and uncertainty. High uncertainty avoidance cultures value stability and structure, while low uncertainty avoidance cultures value flexibility and adaptability. Masculinity versus femininity. This refers to the degree to which a culture values traditionally masculine or feminine traits. Masculine cultures value competitiveness and assertiveness, while feminine cultures value nurturing and compassion. Long-term versus short-term orientation. This dimension describes the extent to which a culture values immediate versus future rewards and gratification. Cultures with a long-term orientation tend to prioritize future rewards over immediate gratification, emphasizing persistence, thriftiness, and hard work towards long-term goals. These cultures value traditions, are more risk averse, and tend to have a more collective mindset. In contrast, cultures with a short term orientation value immediate results and are more focused on the present moment. They tend to be more individualistic, risk taking, and open to change. An example of long term versus short term orientation can be seen in the different attitudes towards saving and spending money. In cultures with a long term orientation, saving for the future is often prioritized over immediate spending. This can be seen in the emphasis on saving for retirement or for children's education, and value is placed on frugality and saving. In contrast, cultures with a short term orientation tend to prioritize immediate spending and consumption over saving for the future. This can be seen in the emphasis on consumerism and instant gratification, as well as the relatively low levels of savings and high levels of debt, such as in many Western countries. Indulgence versus restraint. This dimension describes the extent to which a culture allows and encourages enjoyment of life's pleasures and desires. Cultures that score high on indulgence tend to be more permissive of gratifying one's desires, such as enjoying good food, entertainment, and leisure activities. These cultures place a high value on personal happiness and freedom, and individuals are encouraged to follow their instincts and impulses. In contrast, cultures that score high on restraint tend to have stricter social norms and discourage the gratification of desires. These cultures place a higher value on self control and discipline, and individuals are expected to suppress their emotions and impulses in order to conform to societal norms. The indulgence versus restraint dimension can have implications for a wide range of societal practices, including art, music, fashion, and individual behavior in areas such as drug use, sexuality, and personal finances. Now, it is not enough to simply understand cultural dimensions. Writers must also be aware of how these dimensions can impact their own biases and assumptions. Without this awareness, we may unintentionally perpetuate stereotypes and biases that can harm readers from different cultural backgrounds. It's crucial for us as writers to use this cultural knowledge to create characters and settings that are nuanced and free of harmful biases. So let's explore how we can use this knowledge to avoid harmful stereotypes and biases in our work. To avoid stereotypes, we need to do thorough research on any culture that we think we are going to write about. We need to seek out diverse perspectives and be mindful of our own biases. Writers should also avoid making assumptions about characters based on their cultural background. Instead, focus on creating complex and multidimensional characters. To create realistic and relatable characters, try focusing on the following. Develop characters as individuals. Characters should be developed as individuals, not as representatives of a cultural group. Each character should have their own personality, backstory, and motivations. Avoid cultural appropriation. This is the act of taking elements from a culture that's not one's own and using it without permission or understanding. We need to avoid cultural appropriation and do thorough research just to understand the cultural significance of the elements we want to include. Be mindful of language when you are writing diverse characters. Offensive language can be harmful, and it can also make characters seem flat and one-dimensional. Seek diverse perspectives when writing diverse characters. Read books, watch movies, TV shows, all that feature diverse characters. And most importantly, talk to people from different cultural backgrounds to gain a better understanding of their experiences. Avoid tokenism. Tokenism is the act of including one or a few diverse characters in a story solely for the purpose of appearing diverse. Avoid tokenism and aim to create a diverse cast of characters that are all fully developed and integral to the story. Consider intersectionality. Intersectionality refers to the fact that people belong to multiple marginalized groups at once. So consider intersectionality when creating diverse characters and aim to create characters that reflect the complexity of real life individuals. Avoid generalizations. You need to avoid generalizations about cultural groups and instead focus on creating individual characters that reflect the diversity within cultural groups. Use sensitivity readers. Sensitivity readers are individuals from the same culture group as the characters being written who can review the work for accuracy and sensitivity. Writers should consider using sensitivity readers to ensure that their work is respectful and accurate. To illustrate how to write realistic and relatable characters from different cultural dimensions, here are just a few examples of characters from diverse backgrounds. Jo March from Little Women. Jo is a strong willed, independent woman in the late 1800s. She defies gender norms and pursues a career as a writer. Her experiences reflect the cultural values of individualism and masculinity. Kimi Nakamura from Emergency Contact by Mary H.K. Choi. Kimi is a Korean American college student who struggles with anxiety and the pressures of family expectations. She's a realistic character who confronts issues related to mental health and Asian American identity while also grappling with the complexities of interpersonal relationships. Darius Kellner from Darius the Great is Not Okay by Adib Khorram. Darius is a young Iranian American teenager who struggles to fit in at school and find his place in the world. When he travels to Iran to visit his grandparents, he grapples with questions of identity and belonging. Throughout the novel, Darius confronts instances of tokenism, including being the only Iranian American student in his class and feeling like he's only valued for his ability to speak Farsi. Writing realistic and relatable characters from different cultural dimensions is a challenging task, but it is also a necessary one. By creating diverse characters, you can broaden your readers' perspectives and deepen their understanding of the world. To create these characters, avoid stereotypes, do thorough research, and seek out diverse perspectives. Focus on developing characters as individuals and avoid cultural appropriation, tokenism, and generalizations. Just by following these guidelines, you can create complex and multidimensional characters that reflect the diversity and richness of the world around us. If you'd like for me to provide further information or assuage any doubts or concerns you may have, share your thoughts or questions in the comment section below, and I'll be happy to engage with you. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel to stay up to date with the latest lessons on character development and other related topics. Thanks for your continued support, and I look forward to hearing from you.